Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your girl, Becky D, who we are live in the morning, 7 days a week at 7 a.m. This month we're talking about March Madness, talking about communication, because communication is just, to me, just a field full of madness. It's something that we still haven't figured out quite right yet, and we're still getting the hang of. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is the communication that we don't speak of, the things that we need to talk to somebody about and that we don't do. For us, that's a lot of different things, and it's time that we finally come out and flat out say it. Just keeping it real, just keeping it 100, we need to talk about the mental health, okay? It can take a toll out on your life if you don't communicate with somebody of what's going on between the ears. It can definitely just overall across the board dramatically change some things for you, and a lot of times it's not for the good. You can ask anybody who has PTSD, and let me just clarify for everybody that PTSD is not something that only people who serve in the military can get, okay? There's things that happens in people's lives that can cause them to develop post-traumatic syndrome disorder, okay? I hope I said the S word in the PTSD right. It's easier to say acronyms, and then I think it's stress disorder. It's easier to say acronyms for so long, and then we got to say what it actually means after a while. You're like, is that right? But it's something that is not talked about a lot, and actually in a lot of cultures and communities, it's actually frowned upon. Especially depression and stuff like that. You're like, oh man, ain't nothing wrong with you, and really you just probably just kept pushing that person down to a point where they're at their breaking point. So it's a form of communication that we need to figure out. How are we going to let somebody know there's something wrong with my mind, okay? And some people think, oh, well, you're just attention seeking. Well, I need this type of attention, okay? And if those people who just keep saying that, or they just think, oh, no, you're fine, you're just being a little bit dramatic and stuff like that, I think those are the ones you need to kick out the circle, you need to cut off, you need to just distance yourself and be like, you know what, I think we should only talk on certain levels, which is more than fine and okay to say. It's truly 100% okay to say. When it comes to mental health, you got to understand it's not just depression, it's not just PTSD. There's other things that can take a toll on you as well. Anxiety. Oh my gosh. Anxiety is another big one that a lot of people sleep on, okay? Anything that has to do with my mental health, I'm not trying to sleep on it, y'all, okay? Anxiety is definitely one. It's so many. I'm trying to remember them all. It's our minds have so much going on, okay? Trauma. And then people are probably like, oh, it's PTSD, but current trauma that is still happening to people, okay? They're not in their post yet. They're still in the current. So you have the during, and the post, all right? And that kind of all trickles in. Sense of fear. Any sense of fear is definitely going to weigh heavy on your mental health. That's going to tie into your anxiety. Some people, they are, certain drugs trigger their anxiety or their poor mental health, and something is just situational, so that means situations trigger it, and sometimes it's just some people just cray. I'm just playing. That's not a nice way to say it, but some people just legit have a disorder, okay, or something like that. Something, and disorder, I prefer that word because something's just out of order, okay? I'm not big on trying to medicate anybody, but if there's no natural remedy out there and you just have a thought about eating people, I might suggest that you go and seek medical attention if there's no holistic way to go about it, because yeah. I just think humans eating humans ain't natural. But, and again, I try to make light of any situation just because it's a heavy topic a lot of times. Talking about certain things is just a heavy topic. And this, for a lot of people in a lot of different cultures and communities, is a very hard topic to talk about. You got to be comfortable with sitting down and just talking to somebody. Even if it's not somebody who's licensed, it's just more than likely someone who has a listening ear. And then maybe that person can, have a psychologist or whoever on the phone and just be like, okay, did you get all that? Now tell me what I need to tell her. Because a lot of people, they don't trust strangers. And some people, they're overly comfortable with strangers. I know it's happened to you. You go up into the store, long line, or, something's happening and it's slowing things down, and you just happen to be stuck next to somebody else, all right? Somebody totally random, never met them a day in their life. It happened to me, okay? Happened to me. I was at on a field trip, and I was sitting, watching the kids, waiting for them to say, all right, let's go. And I kid you not, this lady looks over at me, and she's there with her son, and she says, she starts asking questions and going on and on. And at that moment, I could tell that she was just looking for someone to reach out to, someone that she could just talk to and feel comfortable around, because I don't think crowded spaces was her thing. There was a lot of kids everywhere. It's a kids museum. I mean, what else do you expect? There's kids everywhere, and very few adults. And I know she's thinking, oh my gosh, my kid is going to get sick, or he's going to get pushed by somebody. It's the thoughts that parents typically have, and sends you into a panic. And so she's just sitting there and she's just making small talk, and we're both keeping eyes on the kids that we're watching. And I mean, she just keeps going and going and going. And I don't stop her, and I don't walk away and be like, okay, you're weird, bye. But I mean, she was talking about college and just stuff, but making small talk to make her feel comfortable. And she just, kept just sipping on her drink and whatnot. And it actually looked really good. I can't remember what kind it was, but I do want to try it. And she was just just talking and talking. But I was able to be a comfort point for her to help her get through something that may have been racking her brain the whole time. Is my kid going to be okay? And then she told me, she was like, I feel safe here at the same time, because when she was pregnant and her husband came in with her son first, she walked in and they were like, ma'am, are you here with a kid? And she was like, well, I'm having a child and my other kid is in here. Trust me, I'm not trying to take anybody's. And they had to escort her. So she felt comfortable with it. But as a parent, there's still those things that you think about in the back of your head. And so she's probably worried, what if they didn't get this one, So like I said, I completely, understood. I completely understood. Other than that, 9 times out of 10, I mean, if you're not in a grocery store and somebody don't start telling you about how so-and-so did this and that, and they just give you the full rundown like you asked for it, then you might not be an approachable person. And sometimes when people start doing, don't walk away. Just listen, nod, smile, and just be there for them, because they obviously need to get this off their chest. They feel comfortable because you're a complete stranger. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you know Pookie, that who they talking about, then they might have messed up. But people just need an outlet, okay? And that's why I always tell people, I give them that little warning. I am not a medical doctor. I am not a licensed psychologist. I have taken plenty enough classes, enough courses, okay, to give you, the proper terminology and the definitions and everything. But in no way, shape, or form am I licensed, all right? So that's what I tell people. All you get with me is a nice listening ear. That's 100% what I am. And that's 100% what I will always be. I thought about getting my license. That may come in my later life, but not right now. Because there's a lot extra stuff that goes into it, like losing sleep. But to all those out there that do it, I do applaud you and I do thank you. It's very, very, very rigorous career path, and you take a lot more home with you than a lot of people realize. So in coming from a kid's perspective too, because you got to understand schools are now set up a lot differently. Children are seeing a lot more at a very young age. They're learning a lot more. They're developing faster. They don't know what a lot of things mean. All right. And so I really want to challenge you to just have an open conversation with your kid and be like, hey, do you feel comfortable enough talking to me? And, you know, telling me things and like being open with me. Now, I'm not saying because, you know, a lot of people think, you know, oh, that means I got to be their friend and this and that. No, you don't have to be their friend. But sometimes they just need that safe space just to talk. Because, I mean, okay, so just a prime example. I mean, it's not a big deal now. But when I was in elementary school, a kid touched my butt. All right. And if I never thought that I should have told my mom about that, because she, you know, if she never would have said, if somebody touched you inappropriately and you don't like it, and she explained what inappropriately means, that means I would have told her every time somebody tapped me on the arm. All right. That's not inappropriately, that's just annoying. But because she told me what the inappropriate parts to touch without asking was, then I knew it. And I was like, well, yeah, you know, so-and-so, you know, he touched my butt today. And so I was able to communicate that with her. I was comfortable enough to tell her about that. Elementary school is handled a little differently. Now, I mean, it's all, that's what I'm saying, it's nothing really now. But if he would have got away with it, just think about what could have happened down the road. You see? Like, it's stuff like that. If I would have never said nothing, if we would have never had that conversation, no matter how uncomfortable it was for her to have, then who's to say later down the road what could have kept occurring in my life because I didn't know that I needed to speak up about it. So that's especially if you have kids, go and talk to them and be like, do you feel comfortable coming to me about things like this? Or, you know, who do you feel comfortable talking to that is an adult? Not a kid, an adult. So that way, you know, they have an adult who feels comfortable talking, and just tell them, like, is it okay if they come back and tell me in the adult way because you feel like you couldn't get it, you know, through to me in the way that you were trying to explain it? Because sometimes that's the thing too. It's an age language barrier. If you don't believe it, it's a real thing. Try to have a kid explain to you how to make a sandwich, and you be trying to figure out how the knife come in at the end before you put the peanut butter and jelly on, okay? But it's just the way the kids remember things, and, you know, how their lingo is in their head. So it's definitely something that you have to, you know, have a conversation with your kids. If you have teenagers, definitely have a conversation with them. Hopefully you started it early, but if not, it's never too late to play catch up, okay? Take them out to eat, okay? Get them in a comfortable. Take them to a basketball game. Take them to a football game. Go play golf. Go do something. Get them in a relaxed state and just let them know, I'm here for you. I just wanted to let you know that you're, you know, the number one young man, number one woman in my life, and I'm here for you, okay? No matter what, I'm here for you, and I really want to make sure that you are cared for, you are loved, and that you know you're loved, and that you have a support system you can come talk to. Especially with a lot of people being different in the world, and I'm just going to use the word different because there's a lot of different sectors that we could go into with that. A lot of them don't have somebody to talk to. A lot of them don't have an outlet. A lot of them aren't accepted by families and loved ones, and so it becomes harder for them to be heard and to get their voice out there. So definitely, if you have a friend and you know that's happening, just be like, hey, I'm your sounding board. Some people feel like, you know, old school, they just like, oh, you should just write your feeling down. Okay, but then it's just there and it's still on the back of my mind. You know, you need to go and actually talk to somebody. I know a few great counselors, actually, if you do need any connections. But I do hope this segment is not really too motivationally this morning, but I do know that this needs to be said and it needs to be heard across the entire world, that the mental health is important. I'm not even sure if it's Mental Health Awareness Month or not, but it is on the lines of communication, because if your mental health is not quite right, how can your communication be right? So on that note, I hope that you go out and communicate with somebody about your mental health state, or talk to your kids about what you can do and what they can do to make sure that everything is okay and that you are a good support system, okay? You don't have to be their best friend. You don't have to know that Johnny came in and he had on this cute look. And you don't have to know all that. But they just need a safe space with it. They just need to vent. They can save all that for their friend, okay? They can save all that. Girl, did you see? Yeah, they can save that for their friend. But when it comes down to feeling safe or somebody doing something that they really didn't like, they need to be able to talk to you openly and honestly about it. All right. As always, my name is Becky D with Becky D in the Morning. I will see you all and talk with you all tomorrow morning.